versus good. You have people like me that might disagree with both of you. You see what I mean?
Well,
and I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm talking a lot, and I don't know how much you're talking about. I'm sorry.
I see myself as on the extreme good spectrum, part of the spectrum, because my motives are selfless. I'm not in this for money. I'm not in this for fame. Even my top martial arts challenge is about exposure and putting the people in charge on the spot. I gain nothing from this. In fact, I lose everything. I lose all perspective, jobs in the field. I lose any idea of a chance of a career. I have 4,000 videos on the internet where I act in a exuberant manner, if you will, in a way that, employers can see that and say, no, this guy's bad for our image, even though I have a software engineering degree. So what I'm doing is selfless. What they're doing is selfish. And, I see it, that this is a war between selflessness and selfishness. They have the upper hand. They have all these resources, big corporations that are willing to help them out, since the pharmaceutical sector is one of the most profitable sectors. So they have powerful things at their disposal. Also, I wanted to read you real quick another clip, and this talks about how they want to isolate the opposition, in psychological warfare. Psychological warfare is the coordination and use of all means, including moral and physical, by which the end is attained, other than those of recognized military operations, but including the psychological exploitation of the result of those recognized military actions, which tend to destroy the will of the enemy, to achieve victory and to damage his political or economic capacity to do so, which tend to deprive the enemy of the support, assistance, or sympathy of his allies or associates or of neutrals, or to prevent his acquisition of such support, assistance, or sympathy, or which tend to create, maintain, or increase the will to victory of our own people and allies, and to acquire, maintain, or to increase the support, assistance, and sympathy of neutrals. You see how it's about isolating me. It's about trying to keep me from recruiting people to my cause. You're not the only one who wonders, what damage this guy's going to do. The people in charge also wonder that. They also know that I think about surgical strikes. They know that I'm not advocating go shoot up a mall. I'm telling people effectively strike your enemy in a violent, efficient, precise manner that's going to bring change, and it's going to make all the people on his side not want to be him and question whether they should help them, because then they make themselves a target. Part of the reason no one wants to mess with the government is they don't want to be a target. But but the government should also feel the same way about the people. They should not want to mess with the people, because they should be afraid of being a target as well. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, sorry, hold on just a second. I might get my ear. Hold on. Sorry about that, I found it. But, I kind of lost my train of thought now. But the thing I'm getting at is, ultimately, James, what I'm getting at is that there's a gray area. It's not always going to be that obvious to people to where they're going to feel like you and think that your cause is just. I don't even know what your cause is, and like I asked you earlier, you can't really tell me what you want people to go out to do, but you want to topple the power structure. It feels to me like you don't even have the whole thing fleshed out yet, but you want people to do something. And I understand that, but I feel that it's really misguided somehow, and it needs work, man. I just really think it needs work. I understand you're really passionate, but like I was kind of going back to that, it would really help if you just kind of sit down and like kind of worked out the logic part of it a little bit, because it seems like you're just looking for anybody to kind of chomp at the bit and help them do something, but what? And if they did go do something, would you think it was a conspiracy? Like, say somebody listened to your video, they went out and shot a rocket or whatever, think of something like that. Somebody went out and did something against what they perceived to be a power structure, and they had a suicide note to their chest that said, James Jackson's videos inspired me, or whatever. something along those lines, and they go out and do something like that. Would you think it was a conspiracy, or did they follow their word to the letter and go out and actually cause this violent revolution? Because there's been a few people that went out and did a few things, and they thought it would start a revolution, but just hurting a few innocent people, and nothing came of it other than some families being broken apart and people dying.
Well, I would not know what to think probably because, you know, I probably wouldn't know them. I probably wouldn't know. I would try to figure it out, but I wouldn't know anything for sure. You know, that's why I try in a lot of my videos, I try to explain that, you know, if people are going to do that, they need to take on a high-value target is how I describe it. You know, make it so...
Name one, though. Like who? Like what? How?
Powerful, influential people
What does that mean? I don't understand that. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Powerful, influential people who are known to be corrupt. I would say people like Kissinger, people that have a long history of corruption that almost everyone agrees is corrupt is the ideal target. You know, because
so what you're advocating is someone should do something to cease the life of this person. Not just remove them from power, but just fucking kill them? Is that what you're getting at? I don't understand, man.
Yep, I think that, you know, this is a war, and there's a lot of casualty. A lot of innocent people die because of the top-heavy corruption in a system where there's a left-right paradigm, where the major parties are completely controlled. They sold out to business. You know, they're like two wings on a bird, helping to fly it in a certain way. You know, they may disagree about certain issues, you know, but at the end of the day, they kind of meet somewhere near the middle, and they keep the progress going for the super rich. You know, people like the Rockefellers have been some of the richest people in this country for a long time. They've always been influential. You know, sitting on the Council on Foreign Relations, I mean, it's ridiculous. And his father, John D., he was a eugenicist, just like Bill Gates' father. Bill Gates' father was the president of Planned Parenthood, you know. And before that, it was called the American Birth Control League or something like that. And they were eugenicists, going back to Margaret Sanger. And Hitler was a eugenicist. I mean, the most evil people have been in power and influencing legislation and policies for decades, you know.
Can I just say, though, that, like, from what I understand, from what you're telling me, is that you would view, like, somebody going out there and killing Rockefellers being justified because
Yes.
of what they've done. That would be justified in your book.
Yes.
A murder for a tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye, basically, is what you're talking.
Well, I wouldn't say that, you
Okay.
know.
Well, not necessarily the same thing, but what I'm saying is it would be good for us if somebody killed the Rockefellers.
Yes, for not just what they did, but what they're doing still and what they will do. You know, to kill a tyrant to save millions of lives is justified. And to teach a lesson to all future scum.
Okay, can I also mention that, right? Like Hitler, for example, when he was killing the Jews and all the people that he was killing, he thought he was doing a good thing in his mind because of how he viewed the world in his situation. And you're telling me that it would be okay if we basically did the same thing, but not necessarily like a genocide, but just with the elites that run things. That we could have a genocide of the elites, but how would that make that any better than what Hitler did?
Well, because
what I'm getting at is you're trading death and murder for more death and murder, and whoever's going to take over after that, after you kill the elite, who's going to step in their place? The next person with a gun. And who's going to take their place? The person with a gun after that. Until, have you ever heard the phrase, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind?
yes.
That's not how you win this war, buddy. I'm sorry, but that's not how it's going to go. And compassion, you have it, it's somewhere in you, and that's why you say the things that you do, because you're compassionate. But you're misguided about this, man, and that's just my opinion, is that you want people to go out there and cause harm to other human beings. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier, is we are all on the same freaking rock floating in outer space. Just because they're elites and they call themselves that doesn't make them any less human being than you. Unless you believe they're reptilian. I don't know if you believe in that crap, but yeah, man, but an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, and if you're going to make everybody blind, then we're all going to be in the same situation that we're already in.
You ever heard that evil only conquers when good men do nothing?
That's true, too. And I'm not saying do nothing, but I'm not saying go out there and kill the motherfuckers either. You can make Rockefellers completely a moot point and make them irrelevant to our power structure if we just remove the roots of it and change the structure. If we change the structure, people like him won't even be an issue. And I don't know what the structure should be, because I don't advocate communism or capitalism or any of these things. I'm not a genius like that, but all I know is that the system is what makes people like him capable of being what they are. And so if we change that system, we don't have to kill a motherfucker like that, and motherfuckers like that will never happen again. But all I know is if we're all just superseding each other by bloodshed and shooting each other and whatever, the world won't change in the end. The only thing that's going to change is who's holding the gun. And that's not the kind of world I want to live in and have my kids live in and your kids live in. And I hope you don't wish that for mine after hearing that. I mean, but you got to understand that that's what happens.
Well,
I mean, you talk about it being a spiritual struggle, and we're trying to. If you're a Christian, then you want to save every soul. You don't want to go out there and kill people. You want to make it to where these people can realize the errors of their ways, and how you do that is you change the system, and how you change the system is you change the beliefs. And how you change the beliefs is you change the person in the mirror. And if you're looking in the mirror and you see a guy that's advocating violence, even if it is justified, you're looking at the same thing you're fighting against, in my book.
Well, I think that, for example, what I believe, Christianity, I think it's losing ground. And I don't think that any peaceful. I think ironically, I think what the people in charge want is for people to not to believe that there's a God, because then they become gods. They become who people want to be like. If there isn't a God, then he who is richest and has the most power is the most powerful being known to man. Therefore, he becomes like a God. And so, ultimately, it's incremental. Ultimately, they want people to come to a Luciferian doctrine, which believes that you can be like a God, that you can achieve a higher state of enlightenment. So as they're attacking Christianity, they're teaching people Buddhism, spreading atheism, so that they can then turn around and say, well, you can achieve this kind of God consciousness. Because Buddhism, in fact, is a lot of mental health has to do with Buddhism. There's mindfulness techniques, etc. And Buddhists don't believe in a God.
I totally agree that there's a lot of New Ager bullshit out there, and I am a person that will fight against that alongside you if that's something you want to fight against. Because there's a lot of New Agers out there. Have you heard of Heaven's Gate? They claim that Jesus was this weird bald guy, and aliens are coming back on this spaceship, and they're going to resurrect us, and all this other stuff, and take us to our heaven. I mean, that's some dangerous stuff, too, and I'll fight alongside that, right alongside you. And if I got to fight with you as I'm doing it, as long as we fight these assholes, we'll do that, too. But, I mean, the thing is I just want to fight against all kind of shit like that. Just, like, somebody's out there spreading these New Ager crazy nonsense, or, like, fakeness. I don't believe in that crap either. Like, I say I'm atheist, but I'm more of an agnostic in a sense to where I'm open-minded, but I don't necessarily believe anything. And this goes back to me and you, is I won't believe anything until I see evidence, hardcore evidence of anything. And that's just because I've been screwed over in my life far too much to just blindly follow. Even though it seems very true, I won't blindly follow anything until I see something. Like, I know me and you were having this conversation, and I'm about 99% certain all the stuff you say about you going into the hospital is true. And until you show me some, like, psychiatric papers, and I'm not even going to ask you to show me that because that's personal, but until you show me some shit like that, I don't know what to believe because this is the internet. And you can just be an actor for all I know. And that's just the thing with the world, is that we don't know what's true until we see evidence of it. And like you brought up earlier, a lot of these TIs are actors and they're fake and they do it for attention. And you have people, there was a girl used to be on the internet called Zuckerberg 81. She used to claim all these health things were going on wrong with her and she's going to die next month. And she would make all these videos looking for help and donations and this and that. And she never died. You know, she's probably still alive today, but she kept claiming she was going to die any minute because of these gang stalkers and the doctors and this and that. And people watch this stuff and they're not as initiated into the concept as you or I would be. And they're just brand spanking new to it, but they already have some idea about conspiracy theories and they believe them. And they see this stuff and they believe it. And they think it's happening to them. And then they think they're going to die every month. And it never happens. Or they start believing that the people out there are doing this and that to them. And they walk down the street and just suppose somebody walks by you, or not you particularly, but one of these unstable people, you know, say I'm walking past them, I scratch my nose, or you were walking past them and you scratch your nose because it itched. And they're like, holy shit, you're a gangster, stab, stab, you're dead. Just for no apparent reason at all. Because of, and you see, like, the domino effect that this could have. I mean, I know that this is some faulty logic that I'm using because I'm describing slippery slope fallacy, but the thing is that the slippery slope, although it is a fallacy, is that there is some basis in what I'm talking about because I have a lot of examples I can show you. The Boston bombers, you know, you may even think that's an inside job and the government set that up or whatever, but in my opinion, it wasn't, okay? And from the facts about it, and also one of the bombers in that incident thought that he was being stalked by the government, and he very well may have been, and the reason being, he went over to a freaking country and participated in all of this crap. And he comes back home and starts posting stuff to the internet. And then the FBI or whoever sees this, they have a database. Like, if you say something crazy on the internet, just any certain keywords like Obama, you know, certain things like that, within the same sentence, they automatically pick it up in their system. And they go, okay, well, this is flagged. He said something strange. Let me investigate this further. And then they hear you guys and see you guys saying these things. And a lot of you guys can be unhinged, and you see somebody like Nappy, and then you have previous examples of people like Byron that go out and shoot people, and freaking Rodriguez with a sharp tooth, and all this other stuff. And you see what I'm saying? Is like it really doesn't bode well for people, you know, to join into these communities. And like right at the moment, I'm in a few Facebook groups about gang stalking and TIs, just so I can see what you guys say and like try to understand the thought processes you guys go through to get to the point where you're at. And like a lot of the same patterns I see, and for some reason I don't understand it. Maybe you can explain it, but the thing is these people pick it up after they become homeless, but they'll claim that gang stalking made them homeless. But the thing is like, I can blame everybody around me for everything in my life going on. All that tells me is that these people won't own up to the mistakes they made that led to them being homeless. Like Nappy Roots will talk about how he was in jail for selling drugs and doing this and that. But somehow gang stalkers made him do that, right? And they fucked his life up, right? No, you did that, Nappy. You did that. And I don't hate him for it. I know I poke fun at him. I poke fun at everybody. I joke at myself. Almost any little white kid. You can make any joke about me you want. I'm wearing a freaking Dragon Ball Z shirt. Make any joke you want, man. I'm smoking weed. I'm telling you, I'm just a guy. But all I'm saying is, at the end of the day, is you guys are not understanding the impact that could be had from all this. And a lot of these things happen, and you guys don't realize it. Like, Renee, I think her name is Renee Michelle Pittman. he was sending her videos, messages, all kinds of things about what they're doing, about how his stalking was escalating in his mind and all this stuff was going on. And she replied in kind by saying, I think you're an imposter and you're working for them. And he was explaining that he may go out and hurt somebody, all this other stuff, and she said, oh no, you're an imposter. He would never say anything like that. He couldn't possibly unhinged because none of us TIs could ever have anything possible wrong with us. You know, and she could have actually done something about it. And what it led to is she's sitting there and she has people come on her radio show and they're saying all this crazy stuff. She's stopping them from going to seek help. You know, and I don't know if you ever heard the Freedom Covert Harassment Talk Show show. I listen to that sometimes. And I listen to it, and like sometimes it brings me to tears, and it's not because of what they believe is happening to them. It's because I understand the fact that she's sitting here, she's booking donations, she's doing this and that, and Pete Santilli's right alongside her, and they're all doing this stuff, trying to set up this hotline that isn't going to freaking help anybody. And doing all this stuff, and they're just milking donations and writing books and selling these books, and none of this crap actually gets anybody anywhere. All it does is make them believe this crap even more. It doesn't give them any answers, and like she doesn't realize what she's doing, or maybe she does. Maybe she is that evil, and will just target people that are mentally ill, and know that this crowd of people tends to have more gullible kind of sensibilities to them, where they will follow somebody like her or Pete Santilli, and they'll be more willing to throw money at a problem like this. You see what I mean? And they take advantage of this full fact. I mean, Alex Jones, he's the biggest example in the conspiracy world that I could ever choose to do something like that. But Alex Jones isn't even that bad. Alex Jones just puts conspiracy theories out there for everybody. The people that targeted individuals, and these people actually targeted individuals, people that call themselves that, they target them so that they can make money off of them. They'll sell them these stupid bracelets that are supposed to protect against EMF. They'll sell them this and that. They'll sell them books. They'll sell them this. They'll sell anything, man. Anything can pimp to you, they will fucking pimp to you. And that's what sickens me about it, is that there's a lot of vulnerable people out there, which I used to be one of until I got the strength to fight against it. There's a lot of vulnerable people out there that will let somebody like that just walk all over them and just open their brain up and just go inside their brain and just mess everything up and just turn their whole world upside down. And they used to be a normal person, and then you see the types that you get on that talk show, and they're crying about, you know, they're like legitimately crying about what they think is going on, and you know, it could be just the strangest thing. Like, I was in a store and I was buying some Subway, and she made my sandwich with this thing that I really didn't want, or something along those lines. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Like, they'll bring up frivolous, little ridiculous things, and you'll be thinking to yourself, okay, that doesn't sound like you're being stalked. It just sounds like you're really picky about your sandwich. You know what I mean? And it's just sad that these people take it so seriously because of where they're at. And that's what hurts me, is like, and it's not those people that I'm mad at that believe this stuff. It's the people that take advantage of it that I'm mad at. And the reason why I go against the people that believe in it so hard is because I can't wake up the person that already knows he's taking advantage of you. I can't go up to the con man and go, hey, you're a con man. It's like, hey, I already know. Yeah, duh, it's my job. Leave me the fuck alone and let me make my scratch. But if you go up to the people that believe in this stuff and go, hello, McFly, there's something wrong here. Ground control to Major Jackson. You know, I don't know if that helps or not, but it's a lot better than going after the people that are trying to make money off of you, because you guys are the ones giving them money. And I don't know if you personally gave them money, but I mean, what you do is you help them believe this stuff more by helping their cause.
You ever heard of China and psychiatric abuse? In China, they're famous for using psychiatry to abuse political dissidents. It's so bad there that if you speak out, your credit score gets reduced for unsanctioned political speech. You know?
Yeah, that stuff in China is scary, man. I agree. Like, they do a lot of messed up stuff. Japan used to do stuff along those lines too. So China, yeah, they're a full-on dictatorship. And if you look at North Korea, like a lot of the stuff that they do, China gets away with some of it too, but nobody really talks about it because China's got the wallet. North Korea is just this little small part of a peninsula, and they're not that economically viable. But China got their fist up America's butt, and they're working our mouth like a puppet and letting you know that, hey, we're not like North Korea. Even a lot of it is.
I think that
the internet is censored and everything there, man.
One thing that, you probably don't notice about my videos is that I try to address the root cause of perceived mental illnesses, whether someone's mentally ill or they're accused of being it. I try to address the root cause, which is the political environment in society. Their drug use, their lack of jobs, the things that are making them upset that lead to these states of mind. You brought up earlier how you use drugs and it caused you to have the symptoms of schizophrenia. Imagine if you went to a psychiatrist and they insisted that this was a biological thing that was triggered instead of just something that was caused by environmental factors. Most cases when people act weird, abnormal behavior is caused by a drug they take or the lack of nutrition or background stressors. There's a small percentage where it's actually biological dysfunction. So,
I would go so further and say a lot of it is in how a child is brought up. It's not even so much as the environment as it is in the upbringing, like the behavior that's instilled into a child. Like a lot of serial killers, they were abused as children. They were treated poorly. They were neglected. They weren't hugged as much. There's studies done with monkeys that are similar. Like if they don't have a nurturer, and if they just give them nutrition and no nurturing, as a mother would, how different they turn out. And they turn out like they have twitches. They have all sorts of problems with them behaviorally. If they introduce a pure monkey into their room, they don't respond well. They just sit in their corner. The other monkeys with a normal upbringing make fun of that monkey that had the bad upbringing. And it's the same exact thing. You just see it play out like how it is. And that's how we are. And our parents bring us up. And, a lot of times people get adopted into these terrible homes. And, bad things happen in the world. But I completely agree. But what I'm getting at is it's not all a conspiracy. The thing is that what we all need to confront is the person in the mirror, the human being, is what we need to attack here. It's not the Illuminati, this or that. It's human behavior leads people to make that happen. And the thing is like the Illuminati could tell you to do this crap all day and try to brainwash you all day, but if you aren't already in a bad position to let yourself become that way, they couldn't take advantage of it. It's all up here, man. It's all a perception thing, and once we change that, we change everything. But it doesn't come with any meditation. It doesn't come with any drug. What it comes from, actually, believe it or not, is conversations like what me and you are having, because I'm learning about you, you're learning about me, and we're changing as human beings second by second the more we listen to each other. And if only everybody out there would do the same thing once in a while, we'd all do it.
Also, what you're talking about is social pressures. A lot of people, they don't necessarily always listen to their parents. They'll listen to their friends, who in turn listen to the people on TV, right?
Yeah.
And so this social pressure is another thing I try to. That's why I believe that violence is only the answer, because the way to change it peacefully is kind of cut off because people are listening to celebrities, they're listening to their favorite political analysts, they might be listening to their favorite politician, they're listening to these people I couldn't possibly compete with, you know?
Right.
And that's why I talk about my top martial arts challenge. If they would acknowledge my martial arts skill to their favorite politician, they're listening to these people I couldn't possibly compete with, you know?
Right.
And that's why I talk about my top martial arts challenge. If they would acknowledge my martial arts skill, then perhaps people would listen to me. But they're not ever going to give me that shot. They're not ever going to, the people who need to accept my challenge are never going to accept it because they have too much to lose and I have too much to gain. And they don't want me in a position where I have reverent power, where people respect me. A lot of people are subscribing to me and people are listening to me and they're considering that. If that was the option, I wouldn't talk about violence. I would just talk about morality all day, you know? But they're not going to give me that chance. They're never going to give me a chance to truly compete with them or debate with them, you know? They're forcing my hand to try to fight with them instead.
Well, I mean, dude, if you're an underdog, that's just, I'm sorry, but that's how it is, bro. You just gotta bust your ass and you gotta kick the proverbial walls down and if there isn't a space for you, you gotta cut a hole in the ground and make one. You gotta do something to make your way known, but I mean, the thing is like you don't just focus on your edfu. I think that's what you call it. Edfu, how do you pronounce it?
Oh yeah, that's a temple that the Greeks built in Egypt for the Egyptian god Horus, which was one of the god of wars. So I believe the source of martial arts is Africa, and Egypt was one of the major places that cultivated it. And then it kind of migrated to India. That's why they're dark skinned too, the Dravidian bloodline. And then they kind of brought Buddhism to China. And then the Chinese, they already had some certain combat art forms. And when the Buddhists came and they started teaching them and they built the Shaolin Temple, that's where Shaolin comes from. Shaolin Kung Fu comes from. That's what this gi is. It's Shaolin Kung Fu from the Shaoxi forest.
That's awesome, actually.
Yep, and then I put Bob Marley's symbol on it.
Interesting.
And so I put Bob Marley's symbol on it because that's my personal take, is that I believe a lot like Bob Marley, and then I believe in Kung Fu. So when you actually hear what I have to say, the way I dress, the things in my room, they make a lot more sense. But when you just look at it, you say, this guy's fucking crazy. Why does this black guy, have a long beard and this gi and all this stuff? But when you actually get to know me, it all makes sense, and it's like, well, that's kind of what you would expect. He's been doing martial arts for 20 years. He's been talking about secret society since he was 11. He's dedicated his life to revolution. So everything you see is pretty much what you would expect,
Well, can I just say, man, like my one criticism about how you present yourself is, I don't know what the hell you're about, man. And I just see this stuff, and it's like, damn, is he going to kill me after the debate? He's got all this militant stuff going on. He's waving swords around, and I don't know any of this stuff about you. You know what I would really like from you is if you actually sat back and you explained your passion for the martial arts, and you made, and I know you made a lot of videos, but if you just made like a documentary or something along those lines, just explain why you love the shit that you love and how it connects to this other belief system that you have and this and that, and how it bleeds into these other things. Like, I would understand you a lot better because we're having a dialogue right now, but you're not having a dialogue with everybody else. You're just, what I see is you're coming out, you spit these poems at us, you're waving a sword around, you're dressed up in your karate gi and your kung fu stuff. You got conflicting things going on, like you'll have like a Africa flag on one thing, you'll have like some Palestinian stuff. I thought you were maybe a Muslim because of the beard style at first, but I realized you're not. And then I saw you had a cross and just all these other things, and then like the things you had behind you before about like gold diggers and things like that. And I'm just like, what is this guy? I don't even know what I'm looking at right now. And it was just really confusing for us, and it's still confusing for a lot of people. And I feel like if people could see this side of you that you're showing me right now, just as a person, you're sitting back, I don't know what you're drinking on, I got an ice house, but we're having a conversation.
Sparkling water.
Sparkling water. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I thought it was some hardcore wine or some shit. You're showing me up, but no, but you know what I mean. Like we're we're being human beings right now. You're not coming at me aggressive. You're not showing a sword, and you're not. I know you're dressed up in that thing, but I mean, like, you know, you feel like doing that, that's fine. But you see what I mean? People get the wrong idea about you, and I understand you got ideas you want to get across, and you're really, really passionate about them. And you feel a certain way about a lot of things, but what I want you to get across, and I got to go on a little bit, but what I want to get across is a lot of people don't understand what you're about. And they feel like you're possibly crazy. And at the point I'm at right now, like, I don't think you're dangerous. You're not going to do anything. We got some shit we'll disagree on, and we'll leave it at that. But I'm not going to let you get away with. And if I have to, I will say stuff in the future on my own channel if I have to. I'm not going to let you get away with saying things that could be super violently provocative, and you don't have any kind of practice behind it, and you don't even know what you want people to do. And that's something I'm going to try to stop as many people as possible from doing. The government or you. If people want to just wage unguided violence and just crazy shit on the people that don't know what's going on, and you, I don't know. You can just rewind on this back and listen to my whole argument. My whole point is, like, you guys really, really, really just need some insight into not just yourselves, but instead of just automatically assuming that person may be stalking you, like, question yourself as well. Just go, am I stalking this person, or is this me trying to force a pattern to work? Like I brought up earlier, I'm driving down the road, I'm seeing red cars, or I could change the color to an obscure color, like, you know, you don't see a lot of blue cars. It's a common color, but not that common. But once you start driving down the street, and it's like, okay, the game now is we're going to look at blue cars. You're going to see blue cars, and you're going to be like, wow, man. Did they actually hear us say that we're looking for blue cars? Because there's a lot of blue cars all of a sudden. Or if you're going out looking for a certain style of person, like Nappy's looking for homeless people that want to harass him. So he goes into crowds of homeless people and makes them harass him. Because he pushes it that far. And then there's people that push it too far where they're etching my EMF weapon on their shotgun.
Well, you know, one thing I was thinking, I have a lot of videos where I explain where I'm about, but they get buried because I have so many videos. Then I'll make a poem, I'll do a martial art demonstration. So the videos where I explain it, and there's a lot of them, they get buried. And so people tend to promote my videos that make me look bad, especially if they don't like me. They'll post them on a website to try to play me out. And they won't post the ones where I'm dressed in a suit, for instance, or in a dress shirt, where I'm very calm and explaining things. They'll dress the ones where I'm doing an artistic expression, you know. And so that's part of it, you know.
Yeah.
So I am actually...
You know, man, I really, really appreciate you being the way you are, though, like, speaking with me like this, because not too many people would be willing to partake in something like this. You were very civil during this whole thing. Not once did you go, okay, you disagree with me, you're obviously a paid shill, you're here to harass me. You just came onto my page to mess with me, and you're all paid to do this. And I completely respect you just based on that alone. And you know how I brought up the whole rap battle thing earlier? I would like you just in future, not a rap battle, but maybe me and you could collab on something. Just, you know, some kind of weird ebony and ivory kind of thing. I don't know if you be up for that, but it's just an idea. You sleep on it, man. But I would like to continue the conversation later on. This was very productive in my book. I don't know if it was for you, but I feel like I learned a lot about you, and hopefully you kind of learned a lot about the perspective of somebody like me and how they come at this whole thing. I mean, what from what I see, you're trying to get this kind of mainstream and get people to understand. Well, if not to get mainstream, you gotta get into the mind of somebody like me, and there's no better way to do it than talk to him, man. So, I mean, just keep that in mind, and I gave you my Skype, and I'll try to work on this thing a bit more and try to get Google Hangouts more cool, but I'm still new to this. I don't even know how I'm gonna get this all on my channel or anything. I'll probably not post it at all, but I have a Skype too. I don't know if you use Skype, but anytime you want to talk, I mean, you just hit me up, man. Because, I mean, you're cool in my book. I'm not going to mess with you. So.
All right, no.
As long as you want to stay civil, we'll stay civil, man. That's all it is.
I'll definitely think about how I can try to identify which people are mentally ill, and to not to influence any people who are mentally ill. Because I don't mean to influence anyone who's mentally ill. I mean to reach out to people who are truly victims of aggressive surveillance program, victims of real covert experimentation. I think the government, just like with waterboarding, right? They love to experiment on political dissidents or enemies of the state. Guantanamo Bay, right? They did waterboarding, and it was psychologists that helped them come up with the ideas of how to interrogate, Muslim extremists. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I mean, like that would be great if you did kind of focus more on that. Just kind of focus on the meat and potatoes, not all this stuff that nobody can disprove or prove, but focus on the meat and potatoes. You know what I mean? Just stick to the facts and let people understand you a bit more, because when you come at us like how you do, it's very confusing just off the bat. Like, if somebody's new to your channel, they're not going to go back and watch all the years of stuff you got. They're just going to see the last thing you get, and all I see is, what was the video called? I can't even remember what it's called, but you're waving a sword around, you're talking this and that, and it's like, what the hell, I mean, I'm just saying, put yourself in our shoes before you put it out there for public consumption, is all. Especially for other TI's consumption, because I demonstrated. I can still go on, if you like, later on. I can go expound on this further for you, but I linked you that article that I was going off of, and that's something that I wrote years ago, like 2 years ago. If you're interested in reading it, and I would also like you to link me some of your material, I would like to read that as well. And that way we can have a good back and forth going on, you know what I mean? And we'll be human beings about this, and I like to call you a friend someday, possibly, at the end of all this. I mean, we're human beings, we gotta stick together. And that's all I know about this point. So, anyway, I gotta get off of here. I got work in the morning, and I gotta get doing stuff. And
for those of you who have been paying attention to my videos for a while, I time and time again, I talk about the dangers of psychiatric medication. In fact, in the debate I did last night before this came out in the news, this says Friday, January 15th, this morning, what happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. I brought up that drugs leave people with brain damage. Okay, and other people permanently neurologically impaired, cognitive impairment. Those of you who've been watching my videos for a while, you're probably bored of me saying neurological impairment, cognitive impairment. Okay, so what came out in the news today? Well, French drug trial disaster leaves 1 brain dead, 5 injured. Well, what's this about? 1 person has been left brain dead and 5 others have been hospitalized after taking part in a clinical trial in France of an experimental drug made by a Portuguese drug company, on and on. In total, 90 people have taken part in the trial, taken some dosage of the drug aimed at tackling mood and anxiety issues, as well as movement coordination disorders linked to neurological issues. So this is a psychiatric medication as well as other medications, okay? Now what happened? Well, the 5 people are injured and 1 is brain dead, okay? Brain dead. Now, how many of you think that this is the only pharmaceutical drug that messes with parts of the brain that we don't understand that causes neurological damage? And what are they trying to, they're trying to tackle mood and anxiety issues. Mood stabilizers, things of this nature, right? I mean, how sick is this? You know that they get people in the psych ward to sign consent forms for experimental drugs. On record, they do that. Think about that. Okay? Now, Europe, it goes on to say, if you read the article, and I don't want to take too long, but in the article, it goes on to say, somewhere here, that they have strict rules. Okay? There's an inherent risk in exposing people to any new compound. As if we needed Ben Wiley, a professor of neuropharmacology at the University of Reading, to tell us that, right? There's some things you don't need a fucking professor to tell you. I've been telling you that for a long fucking time. You know, we don't need the experts to tell us that. We don't need the experts to tell us that this isn't the only fucking drug that messes with parts of the brain that people don't understand, that causes permanent neurological damage. Okay, this is a very, very dramatic example and a huge wake-up call to everybody. Look, we should not be force medicating anyone. You know, they can go into comas, they can have brain damage, they will almost certainly have permanent neurological damage. There's no proof that these treatments are even fucking, you know, logical treatments. We can't even correctly diagnose people. Misdiagnosis is rampant. You know, we don't even understand the nature of mental disorders. Okay? And the pharmaceutical companies have once again demonstrated their indifference to human life. Indifference. We're gonna just drug these people so we can get rich. If someone happens to go brain dead, boo fucking who. Once again, they have thoroughly demonstrated their lack of care for your neurological, you know, well-being, if you will. 6, you know, the company says 5 people rather than 6 have been hospitalized, including 1 left brain dead, without explaining the discrepancy with the French officials. Oh, that really changes anything, you know. One was described as looking like the Elephant Man after his head ballooned. Another lost his fingertips and toes. You know, these drugs are perfectly safe, right? And you know what they're going to say? They're going to say something despicable. You know what they're going to say? They're going to say, well, that's why we have these clinical trials, so we know not to give it to the public. Oh, really? That's your argument? Well, let's see. Let's type in psychiatric medications taken off the shelf, shall we? Psychiatric medications, or let's just put medication, removed, and I don't know what's going to pop up, okay? I haven't done this in a while. From, we'll call it the market. Let's see what happens. Because remember, that's their argument, right? That's what they would say, right? 35 FDA-approved prescription drugs later pulled from the market. List of withdrawn drugs. Psychiatric drugs, it goes on to say, however, blah, 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 as it was removed from the market by the FDA. So we know that psychiatric drugs have been pulled from the market because they're dangerous. We know that these motherfucking shits listen carefully.
A clinical drug trial, a phase 1 trial, that it means it was the first time it was being tried out on humans after animal testing. It was determined that it was ready for phase 1, ready to determine if it is safe for human consumption. And so
now that Jewish guy who stared at me hard today on the road, you know, you're a fucking coward, okay? You are a complete weakling. You're a coward. You're upholding demonic social fucking norms. You're killing people. You're leaving people permanently fucking cognitively impaired. Some in coma, some fucking brain dead, some fucking dead. 500,000 a fucking year, okay? Listen, I mean, imagine, put yourself in my shoes, and you've been researching and hearing stuff like this for fucking 20 years, okay?
a test involving about 128 people, and of that group, well, there's real concern about 6 people. These people are all part of the same subgroup, if you like. They were all on the same dose, taking this substance repeatedly. And the result, as you say, is that 1 person is now brain dead. 3 others could have irreparable disabilities. Another person is also unwell in the final.
Now, I'm not saying it's only the Jews who are giving you a hard time for telling you the truth about this stuff and highlighting it, while most people just don't really pay attention, nor do they think about the significance. You know what most people think when they see this? Oh, that's horrible. That poor guy. And they don't think for 1 second, what are the deeper implications? And if they do, they say, well, you know, you're obsessed with this idea, you need medication, and then they become fucking permanently cognitively impaired.
member of the group is being watched just in case they develop symptoms.
Let's go on. See, I hear things like this.
Antidepressants are killing people. A recent report claims the drug kills an estimated 500,000 Americans and Europeans annually.
And that's antidepressants. These are some of the weakest psychiatric drugs there are. They're not antipsychotics, which completely fuck your brain. They're not mood stabilizers, which basically completely fuck your brain. These are antidepressants. And they're killing over 500,000 people in Western countries alone annually. Imagine if you're, for 20 years, I've been hearing this stuff. Now let's throw something else out there. Watch it. No, watch this. Prescription pills leading cause preventable death. You're killing people, all you gang stalkers, for your little fucking paycheck, for your comfortable living. I hope you're comfy, you know, because instead of getting a job at Safeway or something, you're killing people for an extra fucking $60K a year or some bitch shit like that, you know. Mercola, an estimated 400 blah, 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 you know. Top cause of preventable death, heroin, prescription opioids. Facts on prescription drug deaths, death by medicine, leading cause of death, leading cause of death, leading cause of death. Okay? Let's type in Xanax. Oops, I didn't show that. Xanax. What the fucking hell? What the fuck is not letting me type it in? What the fuck? You see this, right? You see this, right? This is the kind of glitches I get that are out of the ordinary. Normally, computers do get these kind of glitches. But I haven't had these glitches in a long time. It just happens to be when I'm fucking trying to prove my point about psych meds. So basically, on record, pharmaceutical companies produce prescription opioids, which lead to fucking heroin. 80% of heroin users, you know, that came out in the other thing, you know, starting with prescription opioids and painkillers, right? These pharmaceutical companies pump out painkillers and psych meds, and they're killing every fucking buddy. While you sissy-ass ninnies are pretending you're the good guys, saying, we love you, we're just trying to help people. Really? You're massacring people, and we don't see any significant decrease in suicide because the people who really want to kill themselves, they get the fucking job done. Calling the pigsy isn't gonna, they don't say, I feel like killing myself like a sissy. They just blow their fucking brains out. Okay? I'm sick of your sissy fucking excuses. You're cowards. You're liars. You're hypocrites. You are mass murderers. You are fucking serial killer dogs targeting the fucking undesirable, quote unquote, undesirable people in fucking society. You are targeting the poor and marginalized. You are targeting the vulnerable and susceptible. You are cowards.